Hello, I'm Stephanie Trubkov, and today we're going to be talking about global value chains and how small and medium enterprises will be able to key in to opportunities that they present. I am an expert in strategic industrial transformation, and I've worked with policymakers as well as industry leaders in supporting SMEs by shaping their development strategies, focusing on competitiveness, emergent niches and business models, as well as growth financing. Our objective today would be to increase the competitiveness of firms in Central and Eastern European region by analyzing what it would take for them to key into these global value chains. That would include an industry level analysis and of course having some sort of economy-wide insights. But before we go into details in these few minutes, we would see how a change in thinking patterns in terms of how strategies are designed would enable better competitive positioning of firms in terms of the offering of their services as well as products. So what's the first step going forward? The first step would be to actually understand how value is created in these chains of economic activity. How is value created? So we tend to think of a structural change as being linear, which it in fact isn't. And the geographical scattered nature of value chain activities means that the capacity to appropriate value from a specific industry is determined by the exact type of activity that's being performed rather than the type of industry. So in this case, we're looking at the type of activity, not the type of industry. We will be looking at the various industries such as automotive industry, the energy industry, as well as the pharmaceutical industry to explain that point. So strategic analysis in what context? It means having a way to check what's going on globally, what changes and the structural impact of those activities happening globally have on a local environment. And then we can check what the commercially attractive opportunities there are within such industries and how value is created. A very fast way of determining that would be looking at the 5 forces analysis by Michael Porter. And of course, after such a quick analysis, one looks at what exactly do so-called advanced buyers require, as well as how these companies, small or medium, could meet the requirements of the market. So looking at Porter's 5 forces analysis, we can just look at the threat of new entrants, the power of buyers, the competitive rivalry, the supplier power, as well as the ease of substitution. So when we look at threat of new entrants, it means what time and cost of entry it takes into your particular activity, what specialist knowledge or skill sets would be required for you to deliver on that new service or product, the economies of scales that would be required, the cost advantages of it, the technological problems, and so on and so forth. When we look at the buyer power, for example, we think of how large are your buyers, how much pressures will they be able to exert on your activities in terms of the size of their order and your capacity to meet those orders, the number of customers that they have, the differences between you and your competitors, and of course the amount of leverage your buyers will be able to make in that market. And then when we look at the supplier power, we ask questions such as the number of suppliers that are required for you to be able to fulfill your product, service, your objectives to your customers. We look in terms of the uniqueness of the services that you provide, as well as, of course, what it would take for you to maintain consistent delivery of products or services or inputs from those suppliers. And of course, we look at the competitive rivalry, the number of your own competitors, the quality of the differences in the programs that you present, the differences in your approach to marketing, as well as gaining and retaining customers. And of course, finally, we look at the switching costs in terms of the ability to substitute your product or service for something else. So if it's very easy to substitute your product or service for something else that may not be an exact replica of the same thing, in that case we see whether or not the segment in which you're working is actually attractive or not. To conclude, the attractiveness of a segment depends on the amount of value that's being captured by whom within that long chain of activity. So the Porter 5 Forces analysis is a very, very quick way to be able to determine your competitive position, and of course to let you know what it is that you need to adjust to be able to move further. So you may be wondering in this context, so how does that affect me in my activities? What's that? Meaning I do a service that is particularly unique. Well, it does affect, because looking at industries and their mode of operation so far, the focus seems to be on I market to my clients from wherever, and of course when I market they would come, build it and they would come, which of course has not been the case for a very long time. So let's leave the theory aside for a moment and look at concrete industries to elaborate the points that have been made before. We'll look at the automotive industry and parts for a moment, and think in terms of what the automotive industry consists of today and what it would consist of tomorrow, what would it take to compete, and of course what countries are participating in it. But then while you think of all of that, then we think about what strategic segments are people operating about. What is the strategic segmentation of the auto industry? But then the intuitive reaction when people think of strategic segmentation is, oh, motorcycles, cars, buses, trucks. No, those are products. But then they now think, okay, maybe the segments are the engine, the wheels, the car seats, and all of that. No, those are component parts. Those are not strategic segments. So what do we mean? These are all finished products. So how do we distinguish between finished products and strategic business segments? So to identify business segments, what they are, in terms of these value chain analysis, would be to look at what the global industries are. That's the first step. And that would be to look at, still sticking with the automotive industry, to look at the rates of urbanization and congestion, the awareness of atmospheric pollution and emissions from the vehicles, the crashworthiness and safety requirements of vehicles now, and of course ICT integration in terms of it, and the evolution of product life cycle. So when we look at that, the number of people that now live in an urban area, where we think in the 1800s, for example, only 2% of people live in cities, and now we have close to 80% of people living in urban areas and cities, the kind of jobs that we work, the requirements of our mobility needs from point A to point B, we see that there are implications of that in terms of traffic congestion being directly linked to pollution and being directly linked to inefficiencies in getting from point A to point B. And of course, with the shift to information technology and network devices, we can say the strategic segmentation of the automotive industry would be divided into 1, the movement of people, and 2, the movement of merchandise. Under the movement of people, we have the movement of individuals and of course the movement of groups. So under the movement of individuals, a first segment would be, is that movement happening within densely populated urban areas? A second segment would be whether it's in sprawling rural or sparsely populated areas. Because then the service that would be tailored to each of these segments would be entirely different. The business models would be entirely different. If it's the movement of groups of people in dense populated areas, that is a third segment, because it's different from the movement of individuals as well. And then when we look on the other end, whether it's intra-city or intercity movement of merchandise, that's a fifth and a sixth segment. And so when you think strategically like this, the segmentation of depends on the activities and the needs of the industry as well as the users. That is the type of thinking in value chain analysis. And of course, the global nature of it would be where you get your input supplies. In the European Union, we have a single market, and it's a bit simpler between France, Croatia, Slovenia to do business together. But what about if your input supplies is coming from China, or from Korea, or from the United States of America? They all play key roles in determining. And for some small companies, it's rather difficult to fulfill every niche activity. So the whole point of global value chain analysis is helping small companies focus on niche activities that are critical to the functioning and sustainability of the industry in which they find themselves. We'll take a turn away from the automotive industry for a moment and look at the pharmaceutical and medical equipment industry for a moment. When we look at the pharmaceutical industry, we think in terms of healthcare commodities that are easily substituted with other, like generic pills, and competition going towards low pricing, very high capital requirements, and we're thinking in terms of this bulk volume-based driven businesses. And of course there's the consolidation of local businesses and all that. But what would be the strategic segmentation of the pharmaceutical industry in terms of global value chains? We go back and look at the emerging segments of the industry, and that is hybridization and integration of solutions between the drug and device interaction on the human body. So we look at the trends being driven by aging population with, of course, disposable income, longer lifespans, empowered consumers who are taking charge of their own health, digitally integrated products, and of course devices that we carry around with us, and of course they help us make better health decisions. So since those trends are our present reality, we look forward into the future in terms of what could be used by that. So that's data from patients on outcomes of interaction with your product or service, the delivery system logistics, the automation of things, and of course the telehealth aspect. Especially with COVID-19, we've realized just how important telehealth has become. And so for an SME, the shift strategically would be moving from the system of you go to a doctor, you have to drive to a hospital, go see a doctor in his office, tell him about or her about all of your health history. Right now we interact with devices instead, and of course sometimes there is this seamless transfer of communication between the hospital or the health delivery facility to the pharmacist directly to the patient. And so we're moving away from this system of sick care into the wellness and preventive care in health. So prevention is becoming more of the focus. And so the strategic segmentation for a company would be to check, am I doing an easily substituted service that is high volumes, high costs, you need professionals, or I'm doing something that is a bit more niche that new entrants could come in and of course take over from it. We see, for example, that new entrants into the pharmaceutical and medical device industries are technology companies, and none of them are doctors. They help patients make individual health decisions without having the entire health care infrastructure behind them. Also, the delivery of healthcare services has also adjusted in accordance. And when we look at energy, for example, as well as our third and final case, The energy sector was once driven by these massive utilities that they make all the decisions, they hold all the powers, and one has to interact with them just from this arm's length basis, and it was difficult for new entrants to get into the market. But then what's the global trend happening right now? Trend is that renewable energy, like solar PV, renewable energy technologies like solar PV or like heating systems and all that, the prices are dropping. The storage systems are becoming more affordable, and of course it's bringing energy generation closer to the customers. And now we have customers that are quite able to produce and of course peer-to-peer trade in their own electricity production. So what does that mean for an SME? It means that the SME can key into the new opportunities brought on by microgrids, where they can have their own services and products based on these new emergent industrial niches. An example of a potential action plan to improve the position of firms in global value chains at company level would be, first, to rethink the strategic segmentation, to check in terms of activity rather than industry. Second would be a demand analysis to test for sustainability of actions. The third would be attractiveness of the chosen segment and, of course, options for the future of such activity compared to what's currently ongoing. The fourth would be to identify the key success factors of those activities. And finally, benchmarking the areas of improvement compared to a reference ideal company or industrial operator. Also, outside of these 5 points that are internal, externally would be to take advantage of programs such as this one and of business support organizations, because they can help in accessing institutional opportunities that would help close the geographical gaps as well as the industrial overlaps within companies, since they can use the insights that they have as well as the opportunities that they can offer in capacity building. So in that way, both companies as well as public institutions can work collaboratively to improve the position of firms in these countries in their value chain activities. I've been Stephanie Trubkov, and I hope that this little talk has given you a bit of an idea on how to take the opportunities and capture them for the growth of your company. Thank you very much.
Dobar dan, moje ime je Marija Galeković i ja ću predstaviti projekt Europske poduzetničke mreže koju Hrvatska agencija za malo gospodarstvo, inovacije i investicije provodi u konzorciju sa još 5 institucija iz Hrvatske. Umjesto punog naziva Europska poduzetnička mreža vrlo često se koristi kratica EEN, to je skraćenica engleskog naziva Enterprise Europe Network. Europska poduzetnička mreža pruža potporu i savjete gospodarstvenicima diljem Europe, te im pomaže maksimalno iskoristiti mogućnosti Europske unije i jedinstvenog europskog tržišta. Usluge mreže specifično su osmišljene za male i srednje poduzetnike, ali isto tako ih mogu koristiti i neke druge poslovne institucije, istraživački centri te sveučilišta u cijeloj Europi. Mreža je sastavljena od gotovo 600 partnerskih organizacija i institucija. Te institucije uglavnom čine raznorazne komore, agencije, instituti i pruža odlične kontakte i poveznice u više od 60 država, a u tih 60 država ukupno djeluju 92 konzorcija koja povezuju preko 4000 eksperata s područja poduzetništva, inovacije i transfera tehnologije s ciljem promidžbe konkurentnosti i inovacija na lokalnoj i europskoj razini, pa čak i šire. Europska poduzetnička mreža u Hrvatskoj ima konzorcij koji se sastoji od 6 institucija. Hrvatska gospodarska komora iz Zagreba je koordinator Hrvatskog konzorcija. Zatim imamo Hrvatsku agenciju za malo gospodarstvo, inovacije i investicije iz Zagreba kao člana, STEP RI, znanstveno-tehnologijski park sveučilišta u Rijeci iz Rijeke, Tehnološki park Varaždin iz Varaždina, poduzetnički inkubator Tehnopolis iz Osijeka i Ured za transfer tehnologije sveučilišta u Splitu. Sve te institucije pokrivaju cijelo područje Republike Hrvatske i za upite vezane uz usluge možete se obratiti instituciji koja vam je zapravo geografski najbliža, ali isto tako možete kontaktirati i bilo koju drugu instituciju. Također bitno je napomenuti da su neke institucije specijalizirane za pružanje nekih specifičnih usluga, pa tako da mi unutar konzorcija komuniciramo i prosljeđujemo upite zavisno od toga da li su namijenjeni baš za našu instituciju ili možda neki od partnera može pomoći adekvatnije. Ono što zapravo Europska poduzetnička mreža nudi su odgovori na pitanja kako pronaći partnera u inozemstvu, tko su potencijalni distributeri za vaš proizvod, tko su mogući dobavljači, kako uspostaviti suradnju s poduzećima koja trebaju vašu tehnologiju. Isto tako, da li možda vi možete koristiti nečiju drugu tehnologiju, gdje provjeriti nekakve zakonske obveze koje su vezane uz EU zakonodavstvo. Dakle, odgovore na sva ta i još mnoga druga pitanja mogu vam dati članovi Hrvatskog konzorcija Europske poduzetničke mreže, a sve usluge koje pružamo su potpuno besplatne. IIN dakle pruža informacije o dostupnim izvorima financiranja, zatim pruža podršku u međunarodnom transferu tehnologije, pruža savjetodavnu podršku pri razvoju novih usluga ili proizvoda, također i savjete pri razvoju inovativnih proizvoda ili usluga. Ja ću danas nešto više reći o uslugama koje pružamo u sklopu međunarodne suradnje i internacionalizacije poslovanja. Jedan od glavnih IIN alata je velika međunarodna baza profila u kojoj se mogu pretraživati ili nuditi usluge, tehnologije, dobavljači, distributeri, ali može se i potražiti partner za prijavu u nekakve međunarodne programe. Neki od programa koji za prijavu zahtijevaju partnerstvo, odnosno međunarodnu suradnju, su Eureka, Eurostars, programi Europskog inovacijskog vijeća unutar obzora Europe i sl. U navedenoj bazi se nalazi preko 5000 profila koji nude neke svoje usluge, isto tako koji traže usluge, tehnologije itd. Prvi korak koji savjetujemo poduzetnicima koji su zainteresirani za međunarodnu suradnju na bilo koji način je da pretraže tu bazu, jer može baš već u toj bazi ima netko s kime bi vi mogli sklopiti nekakav posao, odnos ili bilo kakav oblik suradnje. Ukoliko ipak u bazi ne postoji, dakle netko ko bi odgovarao suradnji kako vi tražite, možete napraviti vaš profil uz podršku partnera iz IIN-a. U vašem profilu vi zapravo opisujete čime se vaše poduzeće bavi, što vi želite potražiti, dakle da li tražite neku tehnologiju, da li nudite neku tehnologiju ili ipak tražite nekoga s kime bi prijavili neki međunarodni projekt. Dakle, u tim svojim profilima opisujete što nudite ili tražite i onda čekate da vam poduzetnici ili nekakvi instituti daju iskaz interesa na vaš profil. Drugi produktivan način na koji je IIN mreža povezana diljem svijeta i na koji povezuje poduzetnike su sektorske grupe u kojima su članovi predstavnici svake zemlje, pa tako i Hrvatska ima po jednog predstavnika u gotovo svim sektorskim grupama. Sektorske grupe zapravo međusobno povezuju stručnjake iz različitih industrijskih sektora kako bi pružili pomoć malim poduzećima. Postoji ukupno 17 sektorskih grupa. Neke od njih se bave, na primjer, temama ženskog poduzetništva, onda imamo sektorsku grupu automobilska industrija, pa kreativne industrije, informacijsko-komunikacijske tehnologije, energija, graditeljstvo, okoliš, zdravstvo, dakle pokrivaju više manje sve sektore i poboljšavaju suradnju na konkretnim temama i područjima usluga mreže. Cilj tih sektorskih grupa je koordinirati sredstva dostupna kroz mrežu kako bi pružili usluge određenom industrijskom sektoru. Aktivnosti sektorskih grupa također uključuju pomaganje malim i srednjim poduzetnicima u internacionalizaciji tijekom predstavljanja tvrtki i pružanje posebno prilagođenih informacija o zakonodavstvu EU i mogućnostima financiranja unutar određenog sektora. I za kraj želim predstaviti još jedan alat koji se koristi unutar Europske poduzetničke mreže. Osim baze profila gdje se mogu naći, dakle, ponude i potražnje raznih tvrtki, sve navedeno se može tražiti i putem unaprijed dogovorenih online ili uživo sastanaka. U sklopu mreže organiziraju se takozvana B2B događanja koja su izvrsna prilika za brzo i direktno upoznavanje potencijalnih partnera. B2B sastanci mogu biti održani uživo ili online, zavisno o prilici, i tu se susreću poduzetnici iz cijelog svijeta. Ključno je da napravite zapravo dobar profil na platformi koja je u tom trenutku zakupljena za organizaciju takvih sastanaka i pretražujete bazu svih koji su prijavljeni da bi željeli sudjelovati na takvim sastancima i zakazujete sastanak koji u to dogovoreno vrijeme traje 15 minuta. Kada su takva događanja organizirana uživo, ona su uglavnom organizirana u sklopu nekakvog velikog eventa ili sajma i uglavnom uvijek su povezana sa nekim sektorom, tako da zapravo dolaze većina ljudi iz nekog sektora iz kojeg i vi dolazite. U zadnje vrijeme se takva događanja dosta često organiziraju i online, pa se tu zapravo ima mogućnost prijaviti jako veliki broj poduzetnika koji onda zapravo mogu dogovoriti sastanak i upoznati se sa potencijalnim partnerom. Najave tih određenih B2B događanja i edukacije u kojima je IIN Hrvatska partner ili organizator se mogu pronaći na stranici www.en.hr, kao i sve ostale informacije vezane uz usluge koje Hrvatski konzorcij pruža. Ovo je bilo predstavljanje zapravo više manje usluga koje se pružaju u sklopu Hrvatskog konzorcija, ali svi partneri koji sudjeluju u projektu pružaju iste ili slične usluge. Hvala na pažnji i to bi bilo to od mene.
My name is Zoran Aralica. I'm a senior research fellow. I've been working for the Institute of Economics Zagreb in the last 20 years. My experience range from the analysis of small medium enterprises, analysis of global value chain, technology, innovation. I'm experienced in terms of leading the European project like Horizon 2020. Today I will talk about IRD activities, global value chain activities, regional value chain I would like to say, because it's important issues in terms of for the Danube region, both concepts are connected with digital transformation, and the concept related to the digital transformation. Under this concept, I mean ICT technology, digital technology, robotics, and key enabled technology. I will not talk about concept, but I try to make connection between IRD activities, GVC, and technology, which I mentioned 1 minute ago. Okay, let's start with definition regarding IRD and the global value chain. This concept, both concepts are really, how to say, it's really constrained. It's really favorized multinational enterprises. It's not supposed that small medium enterprise in majority participate in both concepts, and because IRD in majority on the global level are under control of multinational enterprises, and the global value chain similar to the IRD under control of multinational enterprises, but small medium enterprise should search and exploit benefits of both concepts in the next period. Why I'm telling this? Because we are in very specific momentum in terms of both concepts, because we are under pressure of COVID crisis, which affect the small medium enterprises mainly, and small medium enterprises really need reorientation, and in some way they are looking forward a new way how to create value added. So, but in case of how to help small medium enterprises reaching new goals and new objectives in their life, it's really, these enterprises really need help from the countries, especially in the EU's in the European Union, because everyone recognized that some types of structural helps will help to the small medium enterprise to reorganize themselves, to groups themselves as a group, and to achieve new markets. What I mean under terms structural help, I think that countries need to facilitate small medium enterprise to gather with similar enterprise to finance networking between them, and in some way to help them to reach new markets with new information. Every type of policy activities and the large European programs, regardless of structural programs or European programs, are oriented on the new words. I would like to say these new words are digital, these new words are green, these new words are resilience. What does it mean for the small medium enterprise? That means that horizontal activities are really constrained with these new words, because everyone needs new digital product, everyone needs automatized product, everyone needs a product, the result of engagement of key enabling technology like photonics, like advanced materials. So each new products, each new services produced by a small medium enterprise in the future for the new markets will be in small extent need either ICT, either digital technology, either automatic robotics, either key enabled technology. So in case of, for example, Croatian small medium enterprise, they need to not only searching opportunities in the Western European markets. They need to search opportunities in the similar markets or in the markets where Croatia, I would like to say, has competitive advantages in terms of technological complexity of the markets. Because if you sell your digitalized product or digitalized services to the Western European markets, it's not easy, because it's much more competition who can push you out of these markets. But if you try to reach some market where it's less developed than Croatian market in terms of technological complexity, maybe it could be some type of the new opportunity. I consider Danube region as a new opportunity for participants, small medium enterprise from small countries like Croatia, because it's bring several good issues which need to be taken in consideration. First issues, there are bulk of small countries like Croatia. The largest Poland and then the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, little, I would like to say, larger than Croatia in terms of inhabitants, so in terms of market size. But I would like to say that all Central European Eastern countries have similar experience in terms of institutional developments, especially in the last century. But now these countries, for example, Czech Republic, Poland, and Hungary, faster entered in the European Union and made advantages in comparison to Croatia, which is the latest EU countries. But I would like to say, in the near future, Croatia, thanks to the opportunity to participate in this largest market, companies from Croatia have opportunity to bring new knowledge on the new markets, thanks to the EU money, thanks to the structural funds, thanks to the participation in EU project. So I think in terms of global value chains, in terms of, I would like to say, regional value chains, such as Danube value chains, there are three important lessons. First lessons, environment for small medium enterprise need to recognize the value of small medium enterprise in the way to help them to better explain what type of activities are, suitable for all these markets, but what type of activities are suitable in terms of EU financing. Because, as I said earlier, every type of EU programs or structural funds have similar words at the moment. And if you follow them, these words is resilience, these words are resources, these words are digitalized, these words are green. So all these words, I would like to say, favor and structure and frame type of activities which need to be conducted by small medium enterprise in case if they want to sell their products to the markets. Second important issues is, I would like to say, is networking. Networking is a key, because in that way companies, I would like to say, build second type of capabilities. First type of capabilities in terms of markets is how to enter in these markets. Second type of capabilities is learn something from this experience of participating in the foreign market. But how to survive in the foreign market, I think networking is a key activity. Networking with the similar small medium enterprise, networking with suppliers, networking with the buyers. It's very easy. And the third lesson, which you need to be recognize technological trends. Recognize technological, I would like to say, transformation in Central and Eastern European countries. It's not easy to recognize for entrepreneurs that sometimes, I would like to say, decreased in terms of amount. I would like to say that we are now living in time of digitalized technology and ICT technology, which were our favorite technology before 30 years, is decreasing, I would like to say, in terms of its value, in terms of its importance. And now we are in some time of the mixed time where we have not one technology which favored by the company. It's not, there is no one technology in absolute terms like ICT technology as it was 30 years ago. So we need to recognize that some type, for example, digital technology little decreased in its amount of transaction, its amount of use and became standardized like ERP technology in Croatia. So, but that's the reason why I need to recognize trends, and that we need to recognize time when we enter in the market, because we absolutely need to know that we need to enter in this matter with products which are digitized, which product which are green, which product which produce the value added for the final beneficiary. Thank you all for this opportunity to bring you new knowledge, to brought you new knowledge about IRD, global value chain, digital transformation. I hope that you enjoy my presentation in this, and you will have some opportunities to share this knowledge to other persons. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jakša Krištov. I'm associate professor at the Faculty of Economics and Business, Zagreb, on the Department of Finance. Today we are going to discuss about export insurance and how to select a qualitative export credit insurance. So to start with, in my presentation we are going to discuss why export credit insurance, what is export credit insurance, what are the key benefits of export credit insurance, and also what are the pillars of this system, what are the institutions involved on a basis of European countries, but also on example of Republic of Croatia. At the end, we will present some key information, some key terms that are important in your process of getting an offer for export credit insurance. So to start with, as an exporter, you're probably aware of all the risks that you are exposed to. In whole bunch of the risk exposures, probably one of the most dominant risks is a risk of a non-payment by a foreign buyer. This event could be caused by various events, from commercial risks to political risks and some other risks. Not only that, you will suffer the loss, additional costs, and even default. In this case, it is important to manage this risk, because it is influencing your company in an adverse and non-desirable way. So in this sense, credit export insurance is developed in a way that you transfer the risk of a non-payment from a foreign buyer to an insurance company that is offering you an insurance policy for this solution. In this sense, your business model, your business is getting more stability, getting more credit rating in this sense, and you are avoiding some additional costs that could be occurred if a foreign buyer is not paying. Also, the export credit insurance is an integral part of risk management. So in this way, you are keeping your business clean, and you are managing risks in a solid way. Some of the key characteristics of export credit insurance is that export credit insurance protects exporter from an event where a foreign buyer is non-paying. This non-payment by a foreign buyer could be caused by commercial risks, for example, insolvency of a buyer, bankruptcy of a buyer, or protracted defaults or slow payment by a foreign buyer. It could be also caused by political risks, for example, war, terrorism, riots, or some revolutions, or some other events that will cause non-payment by a buyer. Export credit insurance also covers currency inconvertibility, expropriation, and changes in import and export law. So you can decide also to cover a single buyer, to cover an insurance policy for a single buyer or a multi-buyer basis based on a portfolio of buyers. It could also cover the single event or multiple receivables. In this sense, key benefits of export credit insurance is possibility for exporter to transfer the risk on insurance company. In this sense, you can be more focused on your business model, on sustainability and competitiveness of your business model, and also you are keeping your financials clean in a way that you are adding another level of business stability and to your business conduct. Also, in this sense, usage of export credit insurance is recognized by financial institutions, so you could get additional borrowing capacity by lending institutions, banks, factoring companies, and other lending institutions, and you can also use export credit insurance policy as a collateral in your activities with the bank. Also, you're fostering quality risk management in your company, which is also relevant for your credit rating and for the stability of your balance sheet and the profitability. Knowing that the export is important for the government and also for the country and the economy as a whole, export is, as you are well aware, is incentivized by development banks, the national ministries, and other institutions in charge for guaranteeing for exporters, fostering export in a country. So in this way, export credit insurance policy and the framework is usually developed in three pillars, to put it this way. First pillar are the role of a national development banks or export banks. In Croatia, for example, it is a Croatian Bank for Reconstruction and Development, HBOR, which is an export bank also, and in this sense, export insurer. Okay, and the second pillar are dedicated insurance companies for export insurance, export credit insurance. For example, here in Croatia, we have one Croatian credit insurance company that is also dedicated to credit insurance, export credit insurance, and it is owned by Croatian Bank for Reconstruction and Development. And on the third pillar are private insurance companies that are usually, to some extent, including also the export credit insurance in their offer. What are the key differences between all these institutions that are in charge for export credit insurance? Usually the development bank, in a case of Croatia, the Croatian Reconstruction and Development Bank, this bank is offering and covering non-marketable risks, meaning the risks that are not provided, the protection is not provided by private companies or by some dedicated credit insurance companies. So in this sense, HBOR, Croatian Reconstruction and Development Bank, as well as other development banks that are holding this national incentive for export insurance, they are covering non-marketable risks, meaning that you cannot buy a protection from a private insurance company or some other dedicated company. These non-marketable risks could be permanently or constantly non-marketable for commercial risks, but also for political risks. For example, here in Croatia, we have a product of export credit insurance that is not covered by commercial insurers, and this is because of the longer maturity of the coverage, meaning that the Croatian Development and Reconstruction Bank is also insuring the receivables up to 2 years, and in this sense receivables by small and medium companies. It is also covering the receivables on any transaction and any entrepreneur exporter from 6 months to 2 years, and any other short-term receivables that you cannot cover with export credit insurance by a national insurance companies, private or dedicated to credit insurance. Also, the development bank could act as a reinsurer. So if you are having an arrangement with a private insurance company and the private insurance company is not able to get reinsurance, then Habor is able to provide a solution in this sense. When we are talking about dedicated insurance companies specialized in credit insurance, then for example in Croatia we have a credit insurance company which is provided trade credit insurance and risk management in relation to trade credit receivables, and it is also providing an expert risk assessment of the foreign buyers and other partners of your possible business partners. Also, it is provided assistance in trade and debt collection. So besides the classical insurance policy covering export credit insurance, it is also providing additional services for your company and for you as an exporter. In this sense, this specialized credit insurance companies Croatia, in a difference to the development bank, it is covering only receivables with a maturity up to 1 year, no matter of the business side, business activity, and also only in a B2B business model. In this sense, the credit insurance company in Croatia is providing 4 different products. These products differentiate in a way whether they are insuring and covering insolvency and protracted defaults, and also additional costs of collecting receivables, or they are excluding in some cases additional costs, or in other cases the protection is only limited to insurance of insolvency. So for you as an exporter, you should think about the business model or your business model, and you should consider what kind of risk transfer you are looking for. Also, it is beneficial to check also your portfolio of foreign clients, and also to decide over your approach. When you are contacting an insurance company, development bank, or private insurance company, usually the process starts with a questionnaire, and at the end, after the questionnaire, you get the offer from insurance company with a quote. It is important to emphasize that insurance company is calculating premium considering the level of insured turnover, meaning all the receivables and other things, that all the activity with a foreign buyer, and also the level of the insurance premium. The premium rate depends on the level of financial stability of your foreign buyer or of your partner in international partner. It is also important to emphasize that there is a self-retention, meaning own share in a damage or in a loss. It is usually around 10%. So it is also important to know that there is a cost of this side in a possible situation when event of a default or protected payments occur. So in this sense, I would like to thank you for this lecture. I really encourage you to think about the risk transfer instruments and especially the export credit insurance, because then in this way you will be more focused on your business activities and you will be you will have a better financial stability in your partnership with the banks and other financial institutions. Thank you very much for your attention. It was a pleasure to be a part of this project, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.